Board of Supervisors meeting, April 15th, 2008. That's good. Good morning, Kathleen.
Morning, Alicia. Alicia, I'm sorry to interrupt. Someone disconnected my mouse and apparently I haven't connected it properly back because it's not working.
I'm sorry, it's always texting.
Well, yeah, the cone of silence is difficult, but it was disconnected when I got here, so I plugged it into the back of this gadget and it's not working.
It doesn't like you, huh?
No.
Still doesn't like me.
No, I can plug it into the computer. It goes over here somewhere, I think.
Wait, there's still more choices.
Okay.
You see, sometimes we're very techy and we just choose.
Okay, so it needs to be plugged into the computer. Why doesn't it like being plugged into the thingy it used to?
I don't know if I put you guys where you normally
I think we're okay. I don't know.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
We'll find out later.
Cone of silence is down, yes.
Did you all get phone calls about the city's planning on filing suit against on the general plans? Todd called me last night. Wanted to forewarn us they're gonna
You're gonna file?
I guess. Is it time to file or something?
There's a letter.
Maybe it's the letter that's kind of
Showing their
weird.
concerns.
It's kind of weird.
But my philosophy is very simple. I want to see everyone's yours.
I don't think it fits in my schedule.
I think he said this meeting to be a placeholder. They really expect that when we have our little meeting that we'll get things all ironed out. So.
I don't care. I want to look at theirs. If they want to be aggressive, slammed all. Like two ways.
That's really annoying. We'd have to go, we'd have to leave early, but if that's all I do, and if you're thinking about it, do the business meeting. Because I got stuff to do.
Sylvia.
Kristen's going to be here.
Which one is it? It's Woodville? Okay, we better correct it then. Yeah, that is Woodville. It's Woodville, right? Woodville. Yeah, I recognize the names. Yes.
If they're part of the leadership class, how soon will we get the public comments?
Well, we can't do any of this till 9:30.
So we should get there anyway, right away.
This is going to take, well,
Possibly.
these two.
I have a new
Well,
one
if we
that
could
didn't
maybe
work this
get to
morning,
that,
so you can try it.
Where their thing is going to take them all about 3-4 minutes is
What
all.
is their thing?
They had to plug it into my computer instead of to this gadget in the back.
Who they are, why they're involved. It's supposed to be about a minute apiece. She said there's a couple of people.
We should have 10, 15 minutes even after all that other stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know what this,
Well, I'll leave it to your discretion, but that's how it works.
okay, well, I may not do the consent calendar, then I'll go straight to untimed items. Consent after that.
However you want. Consent kind of.
Okay, we can do it. You ready, Kristen? Plugged in?
Oh, yeah, it's a great day. It's tax day.
Morning. Welcome to the April 15th, 2008 meeting of the Tulare County Board of Supervisors. Please join the board and I as we salute the flag and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our 9:30 timed items will have to wait. And so I would take you to the consent calendar. There is a correction on item number 12. If you'll notice in line 1, it's the Woodville Public Cemetery District, and then we need to correct the Wood Lake in the second sentence and make that Woodville. I want to make sure we're not appointing them to two different cemetery districts today. So, are there any other corrections or additions to the closed session?
Madam Chair, motion to approve consent 5 to 21.
I can't talk. Thank you. Cast your votes, please. Okay. Consent passes. We will now move to our untimed items. And we are going to go to item 22. Request from the Board of Supervisors to approve the Community Anti-Gang Mini-Grant Project concept. And Mr. Chernobyv, are you presenting this morning?
Partially.
Partially? All right.
Good morning, Board. Jed Chernobyv, Tulare County Board of Supervisors Office. In January, members of the Tulare County Gang Prevention Task Force came before the Board with an update of its progress and at the same time outlined some of its future goals. The main theme outlined in January's presentation was collaboration. Collaboration between various entities, which includes the general public, media, faith-based community, community-based organizations, law enforcement, school districts, and local government. These partnerships have continued with an additional gang summit in Cutler, Rossi, and, more recently, a visit to the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force in San Jose. More opportunities to bring together all entities are planned for later on this year with additional gang summits and step-up events. Today's agenda item, the Step Up Service Learning Mini-Grant concept, is an opportunity for another collaboration, this time a partnership between the Tulare County Board of Supervisors and the Tulare County Office of Education. Here to speak on behalf of the Tulare County Office of Education is Adam Valencia, who has been an active member in the Tulare County Gang Prevention Task Force. With Adam is Tulare County Office of Education Superintendent, Mr. Jim Vidak. Adam Valencia will introduce the concept of the anti-gang mini-grant project concept.
Welcome, Adam, and certainly welcome to you, Mr. Vidak. We got you from the last row to the second to the last row.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, we keep trying to move you up to the front, but good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Adam Valencia. I work with Tulare County Office of Education, and I've had the good fortune of being a part of the Tulare County Gang Task Force and the efforts that have been put forth, and really been able to build some great things, I really believe, through this effort. With the effort in Cutler Rossi, we have the community of Exeter ready to step up. We have a lot of great things going on, and one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was a initiative called the Service Learning Projects, and I wanted to make sure that there's a clear understanding of exactly what this effort is. Through the support of Mr. Vidak, we had a chance several months ago to really begin talking about what this would really look like and making this a meaningful experience for our young people. Today, our young people are needing us more than ever for us to step up. When we had our Step Up Summit in December, we had over 400 young people show up. And so they've been waiting and they've been watching to see exactly what we were going to do as a community and as a task force to really bring things together. With this, service learning community-based projects is nothing new. This has been around for some time, but this gives us an opportunity to begin looking at education at a much higher level, but also focusing on the community. Service learning projects have been surfacing in many different areas, so it's been a real great opportunity for us to bring it together. I just wanted to kind of bring us back a little bit to our subcommittee. Our subcommittee that consists of prevention and intervention. There were some areas that we identified that we felt that were very important and critical to the success of this subcommittee. And I'd like to really just go to bullet number 5, because service learning and community projects was part of our goals that we had set, and really taking a look at what could we do for our young people so they would begin to feel more part of their community. Looking at best practices and identifying local resources and gaps in resources. When we take a look at this whole initiative, we begin to look at and align it with our county's strategic plan and looking at safety, security, collaboration with school districts, cities, community-based nonprofit organizations to promote early intervention for youth involved in gang activities. This is what we have in our county. This is aligned specifically to meet the needs and also be cutting edge on everything that we're doing. And I like to think that we are cutting edge because there's a lot of great things that we've been doing, and we're a very progressive county, and I want to continue to keep it that way with projects like this. The actual project itself, we are seeking approval for funding for 5 service learning community-based projects that target school-age youth, looking at grades 9 through 12, and focusing on students about 25 to 30 per community that's identified. And please keep in mind that all city and county schools can apply for this funding. And this is what we're opening this up to the whole county. We've prepared an RFA, we've prepared a lot of different things. We also have the guidelines laid out specifically to meet these needs. But each mini grant would follow the established guidelines. Projects must require an outcome that impacts gang activities, family of gangs, and youth who are gang affiliated. We're looking at 1 mini grant in each of the supervisors' district, which would be about $5,000 for a total of $25,000. The research shows, and I do a lot of research in the work that I do in working with youth development and working with service learning projects with the County Office of Ed, 81% of our high school students said that if schools provided opportunities for real-world learning, internships, service learning projects, and other opportunities, it would have improved the students' chances of graduating from high school. 81% across the nation. This is what our young people are telling us, and now we have an opportunity to really bring it together and make it happen. There's been a shift, a paradigm shift in education, and today I can tell you more than ever, education needs our community to step up, but we also need partnerships. We need partnerships with our business leaders, with our faith-based leaders, community-based organizations, and we have to continue to build that. The history of education tells us something very clear. It says that in each of our communities, the schools are the hub. We got to take that. We got to go back to that, but we also got to remember that today it looks a little different. Our schools are dependent on our community-based organizations that continue to support those efforts. And with this opportunity, it's going to give us a chance to really go to the source. And the reason it's going to stem from the schools is simply this, is because that's where all of our students are. And we also got to we go with the inside-out approach. Everything that we do works from the inside out. Our schools need to work inside, work on things within their campus, identify some type of project, but then begin to take it outside. The same sectors that we used in the Step Up Gang Summit, which included all of the partners that Jed had mentioned earlier, we definitely want this to continue to be the actual model. And our districts are depending on that for us to do that. Just to have a clear definition of what service learning is. Service learning combines service to community with student learning in a way that improves both student and in the community. The biggest reason today why many of our young people, and this is recent surveys that we've done through focus groups, that our young people are telling us that they don't feel connected to their community. And this is going to give us an opportunity for our students to actually feel a part of their community by doing service learning projects. And remember, keeping the focus of community-based. Schools being the hub, but everything that we're going to focus on is going to be within the community. And a lot of these projects are going to stem after school, and we're looking at taking this all the way up until our youth summit in November 20th. The conversation with Mr. Vidak, it was a very good conversation because we simply talked about a few things, is that we wanted this youth summit coming up in November to be a meaningful opportunity, meaning that we have to build that relationship with our students before the event. If we're going to bring in over 1,000 students in this from various backgrounds who come from different subsets, we need to be sure to be ready with that and also begin to build those relationships. But most importantly, looking at number 4, helps foster civic responsibility. You could ask young people today, they're not really aware of their civic responsibility. We do the 6 pillars of character through the County Office of Ed and focusing on citizenship. That needs to be at the forefront right now. Our young people need to look at that and say, you know what, I am a part of this community. We don't want to see any more graffiti. The young people are telling us, they're saying, hey, this is what's happening. You're not meeting our needs, and so that's their way of fully letting us know that we need to begin looking at other ways. These proposed mini grants, again, looking at community-based service learning projects that will serve 25 to 30, grades 9 through 12, but also looking at what students are going to gain from this. This is fresh off the press, taking a look at Global Youth Service Day 2008. Okay, students identify and analyze community problems. Now our young people are identifying. They'll tell us that. They'll tell us, and we begin to do an assessment, and they'll let us know where we need to go. A lot of times, just asking that simple question is, how can we support you as adults? And how can we set this infrastructure up to meet your needs? Because our young people are needing us to do that. Recognizing the characteristics of being a participant in their community. I think that's so critical. This is a sample project that we proposed. Maybe one of our sites would take this on, but with the programs that we've focused on with Tulare County Office of Ed, the Reconnecting Youth Program, we focused on specific areas and selecting a community, looking at demographics, because that's what we focus on, grades 9 through 12. But students will learn how self-esteem, poor decision-making skills, unhealthy stress management, and lack of communication skills can create obstacles in life, not only in themselves, but in others. And the bottom would be different areas that they could begin to address. But they would create a video in this process, and then in turn, they would come back and present that to young people, to our children. In some of our after-school programs, some of the programs that are happening through the County Office of Ed, we have a great after-school program, and also here in Visalia in various areas with the HEART program. There's a lot of young people, and it's much more than just doing a project. Our young people today are looking at a couple of different areas. They've mentioned to us about the importance of rigor, relevance, and relationship. Rigor meaning that our young people want to be challenged. relevant. They want it to be real. They want it to be a meaningful experience and ultimately building that relationship. This is going to give us a chance to do that through these efforts. But students would have a chance to do a little bit of reading. Some of our young people today have a tough time with that, but they would have an adult supervising and prepare them through this process. And then also ultimately maybe take a field trip to the Museum of Tolerance. This is just an example of a project that we put together that worked very well for us. The project timeline, taking a look at May 15th application deadline. And the applications would definitely be reviewed by the Board of Supervisors along with Prevention, Intervention, and Suppression subcommittees. Project selected and announced, project start date, looking at November 18th, project outcomes to be presented to you, and then also taking a look at November 20th. All of these young people today want to have the opportunity to share with you about their experience, whether it's in schools or whether it's in the community. But on November 20th, they will also be prepared to do a presentation amongst their peers. And what a great opportunity. And just to keep in mind, there's some guidelines here, but it also, we want everybody to know that it's going to be a structured application. Taking a look at June 2nd and June 15th, it's laid out all the way across, all the way till October 31st. Starting June 2nd, all the way to October 31st. And through the support of Mr. Vidak, I've been given the opportunity to monitor each of these grants and to make sure that our staff is working directly with each one of these areas. And so we're not just going to, fund a certain site and kind of let them be on their own. We're going to be there to support their efforts and making sure that they're following the guidelines of the RFA. Research and study. When you look at John Dewey wrote, the actions directed towards the welfare of others stimulate academic and social development. William Kirkpatrick, this project method, the research has been there for some time now. And most importantly, we have a chance to resurface that. And we have a chance to continue to be cutting edge. And I'm a firm believer of being cutting edge. Everything that we do, we want to continue to be innovative. The whole Step Up was a wonderful opportunity, and everything has stemmed from that. And I want to continue to build on that, but I also want to go to the source. The source of many of the issues that we have in our community are our youth today. And we have to give them the opportunity to be a part of it. But again, they're looking to us to provide that structure. And everyone can be great because everyone can serve, and that's from Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm a firm believer of that because I believe that all of our young people are great. I believe that. I believe they make poor choices sometimes, but I believe that each and every one of us has that gift, and sometimes we just open it at the wrong time. And sometimes we need to be there to really support that and be able to share that. I really believe that a lot of the work that's happened with this whole effort is really a chance for us to look at things a little different, but also to begin looking at our young people in a different way. Most of the service learning projects that we hear and that that I've done a lot of research on stem from higher education. And I want to set the bar high for our high school age students and say, this is where we're headed. This is what we'd like to have you do. I want students to begin to think in a different way. So that's my presentation. I'd like to open that up for any questions, if you have any.
Questions, board members? Supervisor Worthing?
Adam, I appreciate your presentation, and I just jotted down some notes here because one of the things I saw it alluded to in the presentation, but the statement that we need to meet the needs of our students and our children, it struck me that they can best be met by the needs of our children by their meeting the needs of others. That is sacrifice. We could take a lesson from the gangs. They expect their members to sacrifice themselves for the benefit of the gang. And we need to be asking youth to sacrifice themselves for the benefit of others. This last weekend we had a cleanup day in Sultana. I was amazed at the number of young people who were assisting other people, older people, in cleaning up there, bringing loads of stuff that the older people could not bring. And that kind of attachment to the community comes about not by self-absorption, but comes about by helping others. Right. And I just think that needs to be kind of a focus of this presentation, of this process of so often we tend to think of what are the needs of kids, and we just try to serve those needs. They need more money, they need more of this, and we just sort of pass out things to them. And that doesn't really seem to get us anywhere, because I think self-absorption is a big part of the problem. Right. We need to have kids who think in terms of sacrifice, and that in sacrificing for others, they get connected to their communities, and then they feel needed. and when they realize they're doing something which is real.
Right.
They're helping other people. And so I hope that'll be a big part of this process that we look at. I look at, graffiti abatement is not just painting over a wall.
Right.
It's saying, I care about this community. I'm going to paint this wall.
Right.
It's going to look good when I get done.
Right.
And I'll be very angry if somebody comes back tomorrow night and paints over on this wall again. Now, that's sacrifice that leads to connection to a community. And so I really hope that that's kind of a focus of this sort of thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think a lot of it too is that every site's going to have their own way of doing it. But yeah, I appreciate that. I think the most important thing, it's not about the money. It's about the relationship that they're going to have with that adult, and that's what our young people are needing right now more than anything. The money is great; it would help support the effort. But what they're needing from us as adults and what they're needing in our communities is they're needing for us to step up and to build that mentorship with them. And so this will give us a chance to really do that. But yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think that, there's going to be certain areas that are going to focus on that graffiti abatement, but they're also going to look at creating a nice mural there in their community. Every site will take on its own, look and how they want to do that. But I think most importantly, what I'm really looking forward to is being able to build that relationship prior to the youth summit. The work starts now. The work starts from us on our end of it is to get out. If we're going to have over, let's say, 1,500 students at this event, we can't just have all these students come for one day. We have to be able to set this infrastructure up that's going to allow us to build a comprehensive approach that includes all of our partners. But having a meaningful experience, being able to connect with that adult, I think that's very important. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, Adam, I'm particularly encouraged about the linkage to, on the county's part, to our 5-year strategic plan, my little baby, if you will.
Right.
And I think that's really important. And as I sat here listening to the presentation and looking, I was struck by two thoughts. One of which is Step Up is, that it's such a great way to summarize what we're trying to do here. And I think that every step we take forward together, every step up it's a step forward. I don't want to do any backward steps, so the forward steps are great. And it also, just as a point of information, makes me even stronger in my quest to the South County part, which is my district, from the edge of the city of Tulare to the county line, none of those students attend high school in their own communities.
Right.
Even Tipton-Pixley, they come north. The other students all are bused to Kern County to go to high school. And it's not something that can be solved overnight, but we're getting such a amount of them. But I keep thinking how much those students in particular could really benefit from something like this. So this is a first opportunity. I'll work on finding a way to get some funding to those kids in the further in the South District. But it's a great step. It's a step forward, I believe, and I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to just add a comment to that, is that we're very familiar with all the schools throughout the county with the work that we do, and thinking of areas like Rich Grove, for example. If we were to begin looking at, maybe they wanted to work on those 8th grade students who are transitioning into high school. So during that summer, they would have an opportunity to work on a project.
I was hoping you would say we could do 8th grade, because that's about all we have in those.
I would say because they're going to be freshmen.
Yeah.
Next year, and keep in mind that this project is going to conclude
over the summer.
Wow. And so there's going to be opportunity. When we laid out the 45-day project, there's going to be 3 times, as you got to see in the timeline, is being able to check on those projects as we go. And of course, our staff through the County Office of Ed will be out there to help monitor and also help to be a part of it. Because we've established those kind of relationships with our young people. But I see areas like Rich Grove, areas like Tipton and Pixley, that if they applied for this funding, they would have an opportunity simply because their students are transitioning. And they would have to mark it as a transition to high school, some type of project that would be a meaningful opportunity for those students.
Wonderful, thank you.
If I can just real quickly, when we were talking about this and working with Adam and others, it was obvious that they want to be as inclusive as possible, to include as many schools, as many people, and touch as many lives as are physically possible. The really only other thing I want to say is, it doesn't get said enough, we have sitting on our next to last row Mr. Vidak, who we kid every once in a while for sitting on the last row, but without the support of Mr. Vidak and the Tulare County Office of Ed, it would be impossible to do things like this. And I wanted to recognize him because of his leadership role. Most of you don't know, he's taken a huge leadership role in the November 20th conference by dedicating resources to that event as well. So
Shall we make him stand up just
let's
for a
make
minute?
him stand up and we'll recognize him.
Come
Mr.
on,
Wright,
Jim.
go and stand up so we can recognize him. And we've seen over the last
He already
year.
stepped up, so we made him stand up.
Yeah, that's right. We've seen over the last year how individuals like that have really stepped up and taken leading roles. We see people like Adam, who's a lot of time the voice for the people like Mr. Vidak, who are actually really pushing these efforts. And so I wanted to make sure we did recognize him, even though Adam gets to stand up and gets the picture in the paper
all
and
ready
stuff.
for that, definitely.
There's people
Always
behind
ready.
him that are pushing. So thank you.
Always ready. Thank you. Yeah, I think too, just, overall, clearly, we've been doing this work for a long time within our County Office of Ed, and, I'm very grateful to work where I work and to be able to do the things that we do, because it is about our young people. One thing that I share with Supervisor Cox is that I didn't want Step Up to be a slogan. I want to step up to be a commitment. And that's what we've been able to do. And that's the work that's been put forth in many of our areas and many of our partners. So I always keep that in the back of my mind, that when we came up with Step Up, I didn't want it to be a one-time deal. I wanted this to be a commitment, that each and every one of us has that responsibility to put forth some effort and being able to, whether it's funding, whether it's relationship, whether it's mentoring. And we have done that, and we're going to continue to do that work. And again, this work is going to continue to go, because the work that I do, the work that we do through the County Office of Ed. So,
Thank you, Adam. Well, gentlemen, this is an action item, so,
I'm sure a motion to approve.
Second.
okay, cast your votes, please. Okay, unanimously supported. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you again, Mr. Vidak, for being with us this morning, and onward.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, the applications are available starting today.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
where do they get those, Phil?
Yeah, the Step Up website,
Okay.
those applications will be online today, and so we're also going to do an email blast to all the schools throughout our county to get them up to speed on that. And again, we're going to really do some great things out there, and I'm looking forward to it, because I want to see our young people up here presenting the next time, because I'm getting tired of presenting. I think it's really important that our young people, when you hear their voice, so thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. I thought you were young, but okay. Maybe it's all in perspective, huh? Okay, shall we move to item 23 before we go to our timed items?
Should we do public comments before you go to the timed items? Or
Oh, you want public comments?
Well, just before you go to timed items.
Before I go to timed items? Okay, I can do that. Go ahead.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm here to talk about a program that we're planning to put on and asking your support for. Typically, they're called health fairs or wellness fairs, and we thought that was a little pedestrian, so we're calling ours the Share the Health. Some quick history about how this fits into a long-term plan for the county. When I came here in August of 2005, I was asked to focus my efforts on trying to get the costs of the county's medical insurance and health insurances under control.
Just a small task, we asked.
Yeah, the proposed premium increase for 2006 from our insured plan was 24%. Ultimately, it turned into 19% for the low-cost plan and 26% for the higher-cost plans. So we took some steps in 2006 to change some of the players. And when we got a bid for our health insurance renewal, it came in at 17.4%. But our new consultant sat down, had a conversation with the health insurance company, and suddenly the 17.4 became 14.9. Further efforts on our part were to look at going self-funded or joining the CSAC Excess Insurance Authority pool, which we ended up doing and experienced a 10% rate increase. And then our participation in the pool in 2008, the current year, as a result, not so much of the pool's increase, which was 9.3%, but our other bundled products, our vision, long LTD, life insurance, we experienced a 7% reduction in dental, a 20% reduction in LTD. And as a result of that, our actual increased bundled cost for health insurance for the county in 2008 varied between 7.6% and 8.4%, depending upon your dependent status. Also, in that change, the change of carriers for life insurance and long-term disability insurance brought with it an opportunity to join a discounted program for the Employee Assistance Program. Previously, we had been paying in the neighborhood of $100,000 a year for 3 visits for our employees. In 2008, we changed providers, the cost dropped in half, and we increased the number of visits to 6. It is now the approximately $50,000 of savings from which we are proposing to expend a small portion of those monies for our Share the Health program. I thought about whether I should bring John Rodriguez from my staff here to present this. John, on the weekends, rides a bike for 100 miles, and he's in really good shape. And it seems, sort of weird that you've got somebody here who is clearly obese talking about health issues. In 1993, after 26 years of smoking and up to 3.5 packs a day, I quit. Ever since that date, I have had a personal struggle with weight that has been just terrific. And I thought that if I'm going to present this program, I should use myself as an example of someone who needs to participate in this. And, I am what I am, and I would like to be able to change. And I think that the ideas that we have here may help others who deserve, as we're suggesting to invest in better health, and will get dividends paid in possibly longer or certainly a better quality of life. We're asking the board for really 3 or 4 things: to be the sponsor of this program, utilizing the money from risk management, which pays for the EAP program. We're asking that this program we plan to do on Thursday, the 19th of June, because it is a work day. We had looked at Fridays, but we would not be able to get some of the support from HHSA if we did it on Fridays. This is intended to be an employee-only program this year, with a view, if it is successful next year, having it on a weekend and having it for families. But we thought we ought to try the first one and see what kind of response we got. So we'd like your endorsement for employees who are working to be allowed to take a portion of their day between 10 and 4 and participate in the fair, which will be at the Visalia Convention Center if you in fact approve it. In addition to this, because we don't have a standard policy on certain types of expenditures for food and that material, we've also asked that out of the budget we be allowed to purchase healthy snacks as part of the booths that will be set up and make that part of the event to try and...
No Twinkies.
No Twinkies. No Twinkies. In fact,
They're going to want me to go.
we have tentative commitments from some people to come in, and we specifically said if you want to put a bowl of something out, don't put candy out, that we're trying to focus on health. In a collaboration with HHSA, we should be able to do a number of health screenings, blood pressure, glucose. We are looking out of this program to underwrite up to 80 employees participating in Weight Watchers on county facilities. They appear to be the only well-known weight reduction program that's willing to come on our site. So that's sort of led to that connection. HHSA will have its employee who manages smoking cessation programs put on a class for our employees who would have the opportunity to sign up at that fair. We will also have our vendors for medical, dental, vision, EAP, and voluntary products to talk to people about how those things apply. We're hopeful to have demonstrations of healthy eating, jazzercise, program for Active for Life walking plan. The whole theory is all of this would enable our employees to sign up for these various options, plus go to different booths and get information from our various vendors. And as you know from our employee discount program, we have secured discounts from 4 health or fitness centers or gyms in the county. We would invite them to be there as well. If you concur with the request, I would also like to come back on the week before July the 15th and ask you to pass a resolution declaring the week of June 5th Healthy Living Week. And as I conclude my remarks, before questions, I would like to thank Christine Gillum of my staff, who has overseen bringing this baby forward, Ruth Medlin, the county training officer, who is using her skill and resources in terms of bringing people together to do it, and Monica Emerson, whose relationship with the various vendors is critical to what we have. That's our request, and I appreciate your patience and would be happy. Oh, let me mention one last thing. We have the medical reimbursement program and the dependent care program. Back in 2006, before we expanded the medical reimbursement program from, I think, 1,000 to 2,500 or whatever it was, the county saved $53,000 a year in taxes. That would be in payroll taxes for Social Security and Medicare. Because the money that is going into those programs, when you take voluntary products, when you use your medical reimbursement account, you don't pay Medicare or Social Security taxes. As of last year, that savings has increased to $130,000. Now, you don't see that anywhere because it's basically in the department's budget that they don't pay it out. So we have achieved savings in a number of areas by being aggressive in some of these programs. Anyway, that's my presentation. Again, thank you.
Questions, comments, gentlemen?
Well, I think it's a very good program because some people aren't aware of how their health really is until they have these tests run. You could have high blood pressure, you could be on the borderline of diabetes or anything. So I think it's a good program. And I know one thing, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have took better care of myself. So.
Wouldn't we all?
Supervisor Shida? Smoking cessation, I know that's
Yeah,
That was cessation, not sensation, by the way.
I'm just looking at what the alternative is. Thank you.
Ooh, that was low. Madam Chairman, I think...
Did you have a comment, Mr.
Well,
Supervisor Worthley?
I always do. But I was thinking of, Tim, I think you're right in terms of being the poster child for, how this could be a very effective program for our county. And I think also it shows that it's not just about money. It's also about caring about our employees and wanting them to have, healthy lives and be able to enjoy their life. And of course, that results in more productivity, obviously, but it really is a benefit to them individually as well. I think it's a great concept, and I'm just wondering, are you going to have the Biggest Loser competition type thing, or
We'll put that on the list.
just to take advantage of some of the current mania on television? But
See, he wrote,
anyway,
he wrote that down. He wrote that down.
I just I think it's a great concept, and just hope that we get good participation from our employees and they see this as an opportunity, which is really what it is, an opportunity for them to help themselves.
No? Supervisor Cox?
Real quick, the Sheriff's Department is having a Biggest Loser competition as we speak. And I hope there's some coordination so that at 10 o'clock, everyone in the county doesn't stand up from their seat and where they're working and will walk over to the convention center, drive over to the convention center. Hopefully there's some kind of coordination where half you go one time and half go another, so that when the phones start ringing that day, there's still someone there to pick them up.
Yes, that is definitely part of
I know that's petty of me,
responsibility.
but
The runners will be left behind, and the bike riders and those who aren't.
great, support it, wonderful idea.
Tim, thank you for bringing this forward. I think it's great, not only all that it has to offer our employees, but which the board will do, authorize opportunity for them to do that during the workday. Because, the weekends are great, but weekends are their own, and I think it's great that we're doing it on a work day and making the opportunity for them to leave their work site and actually go and participate for a while and come back. I think it makes it that much better of an offer So thank you very much for bringing this forward. I think it's great. You know, I used to do this kind of stuff in a former life, and God knows I probably need to go down there myself. So thank you very much for bringing that
Chairman, I move
forward.
approval. So,
Second.
Motion and second. Cast your votes, please.
is that endorsement session?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to class.
A sheet is in. He voted yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Joe.
it.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
If I could make a comment, this is very consistent with your board's direction to risk management some years ago to start trying to focus on employee wellness. And the literature says for every dollar that you spend like this, you will save 7. Not necessarily, you will not spend 7. You will save 7 in additional expenditures, I guess is the way to look at it.
Great. Thank you. Okay, at the request of Supervisor Worthley, we're going to do public comments. Anyone wishing to speak to the board about matters under our purview but not on our agenda, now would be the time.
Good morning, Board. My name is Sylvia Franco. I'm the Asamblea Coordinator with Poder Popular. Poder Popular is a health initiative funded by the California Endowment, and it is targeting farm worker communities of Cutler, Rosie, Lindsay, and Woodlake. This morning, I would like to introduce to you 2 Asamblea members from the Cutler, Rosie area. They will let you know why they are getting involved with this program and with their community. Like Mr. Valencia said, he's working with the youth, and I'm working on the other side with the parents. So I would like to introduce to you 2 members of the Asamblea for Cutler, Rosie, and I will do the translating for them as well.
Or I should say gracias.
Hi, my name is Maria Ildefonso. I am representative for the Assembly de Cutler, Rosie. I am volunteer for learning for measuring my community.
Mi nombre es Salvador Rubio y yo vivo en Cutler y vengo representando Cutler Orose y vengo estoy aquí con la ilusión o la esperanza de apoyar a que mejoren las cosas que hagan falta en esos 2 pueblos o ciudades.
This is Mr. Salvador Rubio. He is a member of the Asamblea, and he hopes to support and change the communities of Cutler, Rosie. Thank you. Does anybody have a question about their work or what they're doing? Part of them being here today is also to learning how their government works and meeting Mr. Worthley for the 2nd time since they were part of the summit that was held at Cutler, Rosie as well.
Madam Chair, I just want to say thank you, Sylvia, for bringing the folks here today, and I want to thank them for stepping up and participating in this program. As we were just having a presentation given about the youth and the needs there, I just cannot stop but think about the need of parents to be, they are the biggest part of the solution to our problem, and that's parenting. And so I appreciate, like you said, you're working on the other end, because I think the other end is probably going to be the key to getting a hold of this problem and having parents be responsible as parents. And so thank you very much for bringing them here today.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here.
Thank you all. Okay, we'll move to our 9:30 timed items then. And item number 1, our first public hearing, which is a request from Health and Human Services Agency. Consider adopting some proposed fees for the public guardian. Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the board. Just very briefly, for the record, I'm Donnie Griffin, Director of Human Services. I want to let you know that Jason Britt will be carrying this issue forward, but I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce to you our new public guardian. Jason has been wearing 2 hats. He has actually accepted a position some time ago as Division Manager for Tulare Works. His management portfolio now covers about 700 or so employees working for David Crawford, and in his place we just hired Bethany Berube. Bethany's in her 2nd week with us. She comes to us from Fresno County. She has worked in the Fresno County Public Defender's Office and as a professor of criminology for Fresno State. And she's transitioning out of that and coming to us on full-time basis in May. And I want to take the opportunity to introduce you to her. You'll be hearing more from her later.
Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Jason Britt, and this is Bethany Berube, and we are here to request the board to conduct a public hearing and approve collection of representative payee fees that the public guardian collects for services it provides to individuals who receive Social Security or SSI benefits, but are deemed by the Social Security Administration not able to manage their own funds. And so as part of that responsibility, we help them manage their money to ensure their housing and clothing and their staples in life are taken care of, and making sure that they live on a budget and are frugal with the small amount of income they do receive. The public guardian is allowed or is authorized by the Social Security Administration to collect up to $35 per month from each client to help offset some of the costs that it takes to run that program. And so at this time, we'd ask that you conduct a public hearing, receive comments from the public, if any, and approve this item. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions before I open the public hearing?
One quick one. If I'm looking here, you said up to $35 per month. As I scan through the staff report again, what are we charging now and what are we going up to?
We're really only going up from 34 to 35.
Okay.
So it's $1, but it does help offset the costs.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the general fund subsidizing this program now?
It is.
Even with the $35?
The public guardian is funded mainly with a large portion of county dollars. We are required, it is a statutory program required under the probate code that we have a public guardian, and that requires this board to then carry that cost.
Okay, anything else?
I was going to say, you do receive other funds, though, also do not, depending on.
Absolutely.
Like if they were to probate an estate and there's a larger estate, then there's the ability to collect additional dollars. It's not, this is the minimum type of situation where you're dealing
Right.
with.
Let me be clear. There's actually a number of different types of fees the public guardian collects, and this is just one portion, one small program that operates in that office. The larger program is we collect case management fees and sort of conservatorship commissions based on the probate code and the time that we use to bill the clients. So the clients do contribute based on their ability and their size of their estate and their income. So it's not 100% county money, but there is some county monies mixed in to carry those who are indigent.
All right, no further questions from the board. Then it is a public hearing, so I will open this public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to address the board on this matter? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will close the public hearing portion and bring it back to the board for action.
Move approval, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Cast your votes, please.
Our light's not on up here.
Uh-oh. There we are. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you to staff for being here this morning, that presentation. We'll move to item 2, a second public hearing this morning, request from Health and Human Service agencies to consider adopting fee adjustments for environmental health services for the upcoming fiscal year. Morning, Mr. Dwoskin.
Good morning, Chairwoman Conway and board members. I am here to conduct the public hearing on our proposal for fee increases to offset the costs of public health inspections, environmental health activities. Before you are the agenda items. We've had the review from the Auditor Controller's Office and have given public notice, posted twice. This year's fees include a wide variety of our activities, but not an increase in our dairy fees or some of the other lesser-known elements. The total amount we're asking for, if the board approves the recovery of our fees, is $107,540. It's actually less than we made as our request last year when we included also our dairy fees, and it does only provide for our expected increase in salary and operational costs.
Questions from the board? Supervisor Sheedy?
I have a question, but I think this is an example of we really need to recover our costs from these programs. That we cannot keep subsidizing programs that don't pay their own way. So, thank you.
Well, I might add to that too, Madam Chairman, if I might. One thing I was going to compliment the district, the department on is that I'm just glancing at where we've been, and we are, all over in the 90+% column, because we sometimes see other situations where we're way down there. And this is an example of where we have been diligent in maintaining this so that when you make a jump to the 100%, it's not like somebody goes, oh my gosh, that's so much more money. But because we've been diligent in keeping it up where it needs to be, the increase that we need to meet our additional costs does not come as a shock to people. And I think it's good business practice for the county to do that. And I think the district's to be congratulated on that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Dwoskin? If not, it's a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing now. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing and hearing none, we will then close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes, please. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Dwoskin. Okay. We'll move to item number 3, public hearing number 3, request from Resource Management Agency. I'm not going to read the whole request because it's probably be your whole presentation, Charlotte, so.
The item is a request to change the zoning on a 19.2-acre site from RA Rural Residential to and AE 40 Exclusive Agriculture to C3 SR Site Plan Review, Service Commercial Site Plan Review. The subject site is located on the southeast corner of State Route 99 and State Route 190 in Tipton. Subject site is located at this location and was bisected by the urban improvement boundary. On February 26th of this year, your board approved a general plan amendment to expand the Tipton urban improvement area to include the southern 12.65 acres of the 19.2-acre site. The new Tipton Community Plan, which is in draft form, designates the entire subject site as commercial. The northern 6.5 acres of the site is presently zoned to RA. The southern portion is zoned to AE 40. To the west are parcels that are zoned for manufacturing. To the north and to the east are parcels zoned for rural residential, and also surrounding parcels are agriculture to the south and to the west as well. There is a tiny portion to just north of the subject site that is zoned for commercial development. As you can see by this slide, the new Tipton new draft Tipton Community Plan indicates that the zoning on the site will be a commercial zoning. The applicant's stated purpose for the change of zone is to allow development of a convenience store, a gas station, a truck stop, maybe a motel as well, which are all allowed uses in the C3 zone. The Planning Commission at their regular meeting of September 28, 2007, recommended approval of the amendment to the urban boundaries element to expand the Tipton urban improvement area for this site, which was subsequently approved by your board. However, the Planning Commission at that time recommended that prior to your board taking action on the change of zone, and that based on the proposed project type, that a traffic impact study be prepared and evaluated prior to board action. A traffic impact study has been completed as of yesterday, but it has not been evaluated by the county or Caltrans at this point. However, with the SR zone applied to this site, along with the C3 zone, the traffic impact study will be evaluated by the county and Caltrans at the time that development plans are submitted. And at that time, a complete environmental review process, as well as any conditions or mitigating measures, would be applied at that time of submittal and review. As you can see, the subject site is surrounded by predominantly agriculture. There is a small welding shop that is located between State Route 199 and the railroad. The Sunkist processing plant is located further west. There is a dairy located to the southeast of the site, and this, of course, is the subject site, with an entrance to the site being at the northeast corner. This is a photograph of the site, and you can see the entrance to the site off of State Highway 190. The site is devoid of any development, and that is another shot of the entrance. This is just a photograph of the welding shop located adjacent to it. And that concludes staff's report, subject to questions you may have.
Questions from board members? No? Okay. Well, it is a public hearing, so we will open that now. Anybody wishing to testify before the board, now's the appropriate time. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, bring it back to the board for action.
Madam Chair, I move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Cast your votes, please.
Since it's in your district.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And I did not mention that. Bill. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, staff.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And public hearing number 4 this morning, request from Resource Management Agency on an appeal.
Good morning, Chairman Conway and Board of Supervisors. I'm Beverly Cates. I'm the Chief Planner for Project Review at Resource Management Agency. This is a public hearing regarding an appeal of the Planning Director's denial of special use permit number PSP 07124 for a second residence on approximately 4,000 square feet, approximately half an acre, in the AE 40 zone, exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum. It's located on the southeast corner of Road 120 and Avenue 388 near Munson. I'd like to introduce Samuel Vela. He's our project planner on this project. The zoning ordinance requires approval of special use permit to allow more than one residence on a parcel less than 40 acres. There is an existing residence on the site that is served by a 1,000-gallon septic tank. The proposed second residence, a mobile home, is also supposed to be served by a separate 1,000-gallon septic tank and water is provided by a shared domestic well. No public hearing is required on an administrative action, special use permit. Adjacent property owners are notified, and this project, no letters of opposition were received. Environmental Health Services Division did recommend denial of this project due to the fact that the current sewage disposal system is within 50 feet of the domestic well. If this existing septic system fails, there is very limited space for a replacement area. Also, there would be no area left on the site to install the new septic system that is proposed and have a 100% replacement area. On January 29th, the planning director determined that allowing a special use permit for a second residence along with the second septic system would exceed the sewage disposal limitation on the property and denied the use permit. Currently, the mobile home is being stored on the property. But is not occupied. An appeal was timely filed on February 8th by the applicants. Staff is recommending denial of the appeal and upholding the planning director's denial of the project. And that concludes my staff report.
Questions from board members?
Just a question, Bev, so if I might. So the sole issue here is the sewer capacity, the sewage capacity on the site, and I assume that's related to. I know we have requirements of distance from. Is it 50 feet? We're supposed to be from a.
Supposed to be 100 feet.
100 feet from a domestic well.
They already have a reduction of that, and as well as by placing this site, that would further reduce their ability to locate another septic system.
Clear. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, board members? Okay, it is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing now. Anybody that wishes to address the board on this matter, now's the time. Come on up. Either microphone, and we just need your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Francia Macias, and I'm the owner of that property. And the property has already 2 septic tanks. We're using one for the house that we're living on. There's another one that's for the second residence that we're asking for. And the septic tank that we're using for the house that we're living in, it's 55 feet away from the well, and the other septic tank is 110 feet away from the well. And there's already 2 in that property. There's already 2 septic tanks.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to address the board? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I'll close the public hearing part.
May I have a question of Bev, please? That's not. Is that new information to you?
That is.
That's new information. You were thinking you were going to have to put another septic system in, but you did not. We're not aware they had an existing septic system.
There would also be the concern, though, that there would not be a replacement area for failed septic systems.
The one thing that did cross my mind is that from the standpoint of a mobile home, as opposed to a sticks and mortar type of a construction, if you were to allow a second dwelling under that was a mobile home, in the event that you have the replacement need in the future, the ability to make that a conditional use, that is allowing the second residence, but in the event that there was a need to replace the septic system and enforce the limitations of distance, that the mobile home would have to be removed. Has that ever been considered by the?
That was not considered.
Certainly can be considered by us.
Yeah, I guess I feel like the fact that there is an existing, there's not a need, they're not having to install another septic system, one already exists, and I think this idea of making it conditional, because we have an out of compliance situation now, which is probably not uncommon throughout the county, I suppose, would be an approach to take with this, which would allow that to be added on there, but to be conditioned upon, in the event of a replacement need in the future that could not be met on the property, the mobile home would have to be removed. In my mind, that would be an approach to take that would perhaps meet our concerns as a county about public health and the needs of the request of the property owner. Is there a problem with that from the county standpoint?
Supervisor Rashida?
I have a different concern. This is a health concern, which is very basic, but I also have a concern as a farmer who lives out in an area where we have a lot of encroachment by people that are just residents and not farmers. I think we need to review our whole plan about multiple home or dwellings on existing, more units than what are allowed by our current zoning. And we're starting to get family compounds being built on some of these properties, and they do not fit the zoning. And even though you're related, and I know we have this exception, it's becoming a problem out in the countryside. So this is an agricultural zone, and it's a 1 acre parcel, and I believe that there should be, a half an acre parcel, and we should stay with the zoning of one unit that's existing. But I would recommend to staff that we really need to revisit our policy on this whole issue of multiple residences on single parcels.
Madam Chairman, if I may, we certainly can work with staff to revisit that. I just want to advise the board that there is some limitation on local control because the state regulates mobile home parks, employee, farm worker housing, and actually mobile homes have to be treated like homes pursuant to state law. So while you have some local control. I don't care if they're brick or mortar or
they're portables. It's a matter of having more than one residence in an area that's zoned to have one, and we get a lot of these zoning variations, which I think we need to review.
Okay, Supervisor Cox?
One quick, Beverly, who verifies, how far? Because I'm reading our staff report. Says currently the well's within 50 feet. Who verifies this?
I believe it was from their site plan.
Because now they're stating that's not the case.
No, they're not saying that.
Well, or that they have another one.
There's a second.
But there's a second one that's 125 feet away.
110 feet.
But it doesn't show that second one on the site plan. Is that correct? It does show the second one on the site plan. We can't, to be honest with you, we can't read the site plan. It's been copied 7 or 8 times off of copies, and we can't read the fine print, or I can't read the fine print.
You're talking about this one, Phil?
Yeah. I look at the no-scale site plan. I can see where the water pump is, where the propane tanks are.
I don't see it anywhere.
But I don't see where it says the septic, or the septics, these little squares, one south of the existing residence and one northeast of the proposed mobile home. Is that what those are?
Rectangle.
Yeah.
So it does show the second one on there, so there's already one there where the mobile home is to be?
Septic tank, and they had said it would be a proposed in the application. He's getting the application out.
Well, I have a question on that issue too, Supervisor Cox raised. Is the current septic tank the 55 feet away from the well?
Yes, for the existing residents.
The existing residents?
Within 50 feet, the staff report says.
You were going from the site plan that indicates the well as being approximately 50 feet from the septic tank.
And does
It
the
was-
application
it was
say
not to scale.
there's another one already there?
Septic tank, or the one now that we hear that is existing is a little bit farther, but there still is the need for replacement areas of 100%. So.
Could you speak into the mic? I can't.
I'm sorry. I was trying to look at the map. So the septic tank shown on the map that we were told was proposed is the current one for the residences that is existing is 50 feet. Then the proposed mobile home with that septic tank, that would be approximately 100 feet. This site plan is not to scale.
Is that an existing septic tank?
According to the applicants, it wasn't told to us in the application. And then your leach fields are adjacent to the septic tank, so that takes up much more room than what that little box shows as a septic tank. So then to have the 100% replacement is the concern of the Environmental Health Department.
So if this septic tank is 50 feet from the water pump, then, and the other one is 50 feet from that one, because it's 100 feet.
Yeah, they're about 50 feet apart.
Madam Chair, I just to respond to something that Supervisor Sheeta said is I don't disagree with his statement about evaluating our whole process and our whole policy. The point that here today was made was strictly on the issue of septic systems. I mean, that was the whole basis for the denial. And I just sense that the fact that we have an existing septic system on the basis of the applicant's statement and the fact that it could be the issue raised by the county of full replacement could be met by conditional approval of this, so that in the event that there is a need to replace one in the future and it can't be met with the current standard that would require the relocation of the mobile home, I don't have a problem with allowing the applicant to go forward.
Madam Chair?
Yes?
I disagree. I believe that if you have an existing septic tank that's being used that is in non-compliance to our new code, and there is another septic tank that would bring this house into compliance, that I still have an issue with that 50 foot from the well by this one house, and when it's been demonstrated there's another septic tank that would give them the 100-foot distance from their domestic well. I don't believe we should keep an existing septic tank that is non-compliance in existence to put another dwelling on this piece of property.
It just crosses my mind. The other one, which is 100 feet from the pump or whatever, is that an old one that they're not using anymore?
It's not being used.
Or is it brand new?
You have to ask the applicants because we weren't aware of the existence of.
Not being used, I know, but what, were you using it before? Well, not since you've been there. No. Okay. But someone must have.
But it's not new. It's not new. It's existing from when you bought the house.
Right. Okay, I get that. So something went wrong with that one, then they moved the other one. So that doesn't mean, just because it's there doesn't mean it's able to function. Yeah.
Well, I think those issues can be addressed. I mean, I understand where Mr. Sheet is coming from, and I don't necessarily disagree with him, except to say that there's probably 1,000 septic systems in this county that are within 50 feet of existing wells. And this is not an enforcement issue. This is an issue, today about adding a second dwelling. We have no indication that there's been any failure of the system that's there now, that there's any problem with the water system that's there. And I just mean, the reality is that's how things are out there. And we're not perpetuating something in the future, if they're going to have to replace it, they will have to meet these new standards, as does everybody. That's just like when you do any kind of an upgrade in your home, when you remodel, you have to meet the new standards. What was acceptable in 1940 is not acceptable today. So anyway, that was only my point.
Sorry, Cox.
May I put Mr. Maple's hat on for a second and maybe suggest that we give staff time to look at the second well?
Septic system?
I'm sorry, the second septic system and see if it is in fact maybe not one that failed and was replaced with the one that's 50 feet away before we make our decision today.
And I think I have no problem with that. The furthering that would be probably puts the onus on the applicant to demonstrate that the other system is functioning, so that we would know that there's not a problem with it.
I still have a problem with there being no replacement area in case either one of those fails. If either one of them fails, there's no place for either of them to go. And by
Well, there
their
would-
admission, the new, old one is old.
There would be, in the event that you made it conditional, that the mobile home would have to be removed in the event that they have to replace it, because then you've got your spot right there.
Can we legally do that?
Are we suggesting
Madam
continuing
Attorney?
this then?
Can we legally tell them they can put their residence there and they got to move it if the septic fails?
Ms. Roberts hasn't replied to me as of yet.
Okay, well, then it sounds like we might have be able to
We can check
continue
into
this to
that as
find
well.
these two things out.
So am I hearing a
Well,
continuance?
my only, yes, if it's acceptable for us to continue this matter for whatever length of time we think we need, 30 or 45 days, in my mind, if we can't do it conditionally, that is, allow them to have the mobile home under conditionally, then I think there's no point in even looking at how good the septic system is, because this place is not going to go anywhere. So we may want to continue it just solely for the purpose of, we can find out that answer right away, can't we, as far as the conditional?
Well, I don't know about right away. We can hopefully find it out during this meeting. But I have no
Last
idea what
item.
my staff is doing back at the office.
Well,
I do know
are we
that
going to have
there
a
are
problem
serious-
continuing this matter, though?
There's no problem in continuing the matter. I'd recommend you continue it to a date certain so that it doesn't have to be renoticed.
Yeah.
Concern that I have is, as I mentioned, the state regulation regarding mobile homes, which is somewhat complex and is found all over the codes, actually.
Well, Madam Chair, I would like to then move that this matter be continued for 30 days, or to 4 weeks to a date certain, if that falls on a regularly scheduled meeting. And if not, to be the following week, whenever, because we sometimes have meetings we don't meet, for two purposes. One is to determine if we can give a conditional approval. And if the answer to that is yes, then it would be incumbent upon the applicant to demonstrate that there is an existing system and that the system is functioning.
Okay. So that's a motion.
Did we find a
Find our
date?
date certain.
The date would be?
13th.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Cast your votes, please. Okay, motion passing unanimously to hold this over until the May 13th board meeting.
I understand the board's direction. If legal staff discovers that it is not possible to do that condition, there's no point in having staff go out and do this other work. So we will get back to staff, and they will then, assuming that it is possible, proceed to
Communicate with the applicant.
environmental health and whoever needs to talk about septic tanks.
Okay. All right, then, we have one remaining item on this agenda, and that is Board of Supervisors matters. Supervisor Cox, you want to start today?
Well, I actually don't have anything today, Madam Chair. I'm very happy and thankful the board supported the mini grant process that we went through this morning. I think it shows that this board is willing to get out of the box and to go where boards have not gone in the past, and to be supportive of being very proactive out in the community, supplying funding opportunities for our youth. And I just think it's very progressive of this board to be looking at doing things like this, and I want to thank the board for its support.
Where no board has gone before.
That makes him
Quote
Captain.
William Shatner.
That makes him Captain Kirk.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Supervisor Worsley.
I don't think I have anything to say today.
Okay, Supervisor Ishida?
Good, I have plenty of time.
Oh, no.
Last week, Supervisor Ennis and I went to Monterey to attend a CalCog meeting. Probably the most significant thing that came out of the meeting was that the CalCog opposes Senator Steinberg's bill on revamping or making CEQA easier on road issues. And that's, opposition is we oppose, if not amended, to address the concerns of CalCog, the League of Cities, and CSAC. So we did.
Steinberg wants to make it harder? Is that what you said?
Well, apparently his bill is very limited there are very few projects that would even fit under his bill, and to even qualify to fit under the bill, you almost might as well do the full process. It's not really a relief.
It's form over substance issue.
Yeah, it really doesn't work well for rural counties.
And
it doesn't work well for urban counties either. There's just too few exceptions.
More wonderful legislation from our friends in Sacramento.
That's correct. So that's a stand that I don't think CalCog's taken before, and CalCog intends to be a little more public, a little more forceful in the future on transportation issues. So they're going to get out in the forefront a little bit more than they have in the past. And that'll be up to Mr. Ennis to help do that.
Did we elect him to anything?
Pardon?
Did we elect him to anything while you were there? Did we make him an officer of CalCog, or did we do anything like that to him?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We'll push for that.
All right, just checking.
Last night, we had an organizing meeting to oppose Route 1 for the Southern Cal Edison transmission lines. We elected a committee, and we have an 8-member committee. The chairman is George McEwen out of Exeter, and our committee members, many of them worked on the protest on the prior alignment, and we fully understand that we will need consulting and legal advice. So this will also involve fundraising. And this group intends to launch a full campaign against Route 1, the proposed Route 1 of Southern Cal Edison.
Don't use any power while you're campaigning against him.
You think you can get Steve to help you on that?
That's right.
You know, another issue that came to my attention last week that I really didn't notice was the California condor issue. We have the California State Fish and Game Commission voted 3-1 to ban all lead ammunition for non-game species from basically Madera County to San Diego. So it's made all 22, if you're shooting ground squirrels with a 22, after July 1, you're subject to a $500 fine.
That's an expensive squirrel.
Yeah. If you shoot like pigeons in a dairy that come and eat your feed with lead, with a shotgun, you're subject to a $500 fine. So this is something the commission snuck in, expanded on the legislation that was passed by by our state legislation, signed by the governor. They just, like they said, you give them an inch and they're going to take a mile.
And it's all based upon condor habitat?
Yes, that they're afraid the condors will eat
Lead
non-game
casings.
animals that have lead in them.
Including the valley floor?
Including the valley floor. This also includes the coastal mountain range, where they haven't had condors in a long, long time. So this is a real large issue statewide. And I was quite surprised that the commission moved in that direction.
I'm assuming there's a replacement, and I'm assuming it's more expensive.
There is no replacement right now for 22 long rifle. And that's what most people use
You can get steel
for
shot
squirrels.
For shotguns. Steel
Yeah.
shot for shotguns, but
There's no replacement for 22 long rifle.
Oh, what are we going to do about lead sinkers?
It's coming. So I'm done.
those could be expensive. Those could be expensive autopsies on those squirrels and pigeons, couldn't they?
All right, I'm stopping this right now. Ennis, before we get...
Well, I really don't have much to say other than that I really thought this anti-gang grant deal was something pretty great. And I think that once we go through this process and hopefully these kids come to the summit and present their different programs, maybe we can take some of these different things that they put together and implement them in and use them on an ongoing basis. So I think it'd be real good. And I think also it'll instill pride in these kids, and I think that's something that's missing in a lot of them. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I think of note, gentlemen, is that we have our regional meeting towards the end of this week. I'm assuming that some or maybe all of us will be attending different parts of that. As hosts last year, I think we set a pretty high bar, so we'll, hopefully Merced County will step up, as they say, and have an interesting program.
Well, just to mention that, piggyback on that, my hope is that by hosting it in Modesto and Stanislaus County, that we will bring back into the fold San Joaquin and Stanislaus, who have been noticeably absent from a number of our meetings of the past. So the fact that they're hosting it, I hope they'll get back on board and become active.
Supervisor Crookham was very clever in, as Merced hosts, to move at least this first meeting to Modesto, and if some of those people don't show up, I don't know what their excuse can be. I mean,
Happy proximity.
It's right where they live. So you're exactly right, Supervisor. That's a very good point. In fact, I may send them all an email and chastise them before it even starts. So like me, isn't it? The only other thing I have is I was interested to read accounting of conversations that the PUC or whomever is having with PG&E regarding their role in making some counties change their mind about the community choice aggregate. It's an article in the Bee. I think you should all read it. With that, Council, I'm relatively certain
we do have need for closed session. Items A and B are off agendas. You have items C through F on your board's, as printed on your board's agenda. I do not anticipate any announcements.
Okay, thank you, and thank you all for being here with us today.